Our air is the most important part of sustaining life, but how safe is it? Did you know that residents of Hamilton and their surrounding area are 11.5% more likely to die prematurely due to air pollution-caused illnesses? People are in the QEW, Janes Road, and Arvin Avenue area, at the Rothwell Center, East Side, and McCulty Boulevard will die an additional 9% earlier, making that 20.5%.
This industry is polluting the environment. It is harming animals and humans.
Smog is a general term used to describe pollutants in outdoor air. In urban areas, sources of pollution include vehicles, such as cars and trucks, and industries. Because pollutants travel through the air, pollution can affect air quality at great distances from where the pollution was originally released. Consequently, even rural areas are affected by smog. Smog is associated with premature deaths and can negatively impact pre-existing health conditions, such as asthma and bronchitis, heart disease and diabetes, which can lead to hospitalization and visits to the emergency room or the doctor's office. Speaking about smog and pollution-related illness, in the Ontario region, the deaths due to air pollution are reaching over 9,000 deaths a year and 9,500 premature deaths per year. Also, the government does not place the reason of death on a death certificate as smog-related respiratory problems or health problems. Only respiratory problems. Is the government trying to hide something? Smog is responsible for a large part of bronchitis and asthma, but did you know it is also responsible for genetic mutations? In 2008, a report was done showing that gulls living near steel mills passed on more genetic mutations than gulls living near rural areas. Now if this is happening to animals, what's not to happen to us? There are lots of chemicals in our air, such as carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, lead, nitrogen dioxide, aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, heavy metals and aldehydes, and volatile and semi-volatile organic compounds, VOCs, like benzene, are only a few of the chemicals in our air. Think your house is green? The average household produces 27 tons of CO2, 102 pounds of NOx, 129 pounds of acid rain pollution, 14 pounds of SPP, or small particle pollution, 0.4 ounces of toxic lead pollution, and 0.01 ounces of toxic mercury pollution per year. 27 tons of CO2 or climate change pollution per household. That's approximately 945 million tons of CO2 per year in Canada. Now imagine the world. That's approximately 18,900 billion tons per year. Imagine what that is doing to our environment, and that's only houses. According to the EPA, 50% of harmful air pollutants, such as the ones I mentioned, are caused by cars. How much pollution do you think we caused before this? We are about to interview Jim Harris, former leader and head of the Canadian Green Party, and author of Blindsided, The Learning Paradox, and 100 Best Companies to Work For.
Jim Harris.
Hi, this is Patrick Sorial. Do you mind if I ask you some questions?
Hi, Patrick. No problem at all.
Alright. Will initiatives to keep our air clean now work in the long term?
Well, that's a tricky question. It depends because governments change, and sometimes the government, for instance, in Ontario, the current government has worked to phase out coal-fired power, which improves our air quality because we don't have as much smog. But a future government might reverse that decision. You never know. And a lot of it depends on regulation, government regulation. So that would be the first thing that I'd say. The second thing is cars are a major contributor to smog. But there are some kinds of cars, like the Prius, that reduces smog emissions by 70%. And we could end up having way better air quality in Toronto.
If we know coal plants and steel mills produce lots of pollution, why don't we try and control them?
Well, we should. I agree with you. Absolutely, we should. Again, it often goes back to politics. Steel plants and coal mills will often create employment, and the members of parliament federally or the members of provincial parliament provincially will work to defend the existing jobs. Even though there are more jobs in green energy and energy efficiency and retrofitting. So environmental movement is keep on proving out how we will create more jobs, a better quality of life, better air quality, better GDP, all with green and clean energy and technology.
Has the government done anything about CELA calling on them to change air pollution initiatives?
Well, I don't know about CELA's particular calls to the government. Now, as I mentioned, the Liberal government in the province of Ontario has phased out and is continuing to phase out coal-fired power plants. And they were the plants that were the dirtiest in terms of air quality or electricity production. So something has been done already. We need to continue doing it, but continue working on that. The biggest improvement we can make is energy efficiency.
Are you aware that Canada produces 945 million tons of CO2 per year? And if so, how is that number trying to be reduced?
So we produce, we produce way too much CO2. Remember that what I told you about the amount of energy we waste in our electrical system?
Yeah?
If we ended up being far more energy efficient, meaning we insulated our homes and businesses and we used, LED lights, we would then have to produce dramatically less electricity. We would save money, and we would end up reducing the amount of CO2 that would be produced. Here's another interesting, remember I talked about the Prius car. If every car in North America got the same fuel efficiency as the Prius, we wouldn't need to import any oil from the Middle East in North America. We wouldn't need to drill in the Arctic, or the U.S. wouldn't need to drill in the Gulf of Mexico. So, literally, the U.S. is sending hundreds of billions of dollars every year over to the Middle East to buy oil. That's unnecessary because the U.S. doesn't have aggressive fuel efficiency standards. Simply having the same fuel efficiency as the Prius, which has been available in North America since 2001, would eliminate the need for any oil imports in North America. So this fuel efficiency would have dramatic impact on our carbon dioxide emissions. For the transportation sector, it would be like removing half the carbon dioxide that we produce currently. So there are really simple solutions. We just need the political will to pursue them.
Well, thank you for your time.
Well, my pleasure.
I sent an email to ArcelorMittal Dofasco and U.S. Steel, formerly Stelco, and they haven't responded to me for 2 weeks. We sent them a few questions. Here's an example. What standards have you enacted to reduce the levels of harmful emissions released into the air by your industrial activities? Do you use filters on your smokestacks, for example? We've seen on the Clean Air Hamilton website that pollution levels are declining in Hamilton. Would you say that a result of less steel being made or a result of improved environmental standards? Like I've said, they have not responded for 2 weeks. Do they have a good reason?
Places like these are being affected by all the air pollution. If we don't stop polluting the air, places like these won't have a future. Now think about all we've said next time you do something that will affect our air.